Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your seating aisle.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP? Or, like, we got the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I struck out 17, and, like, stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher, like, been a part of, like, 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time.
Pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Sure, I'm a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. Couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's do it. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, I thought, my God, if Chica is offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we live. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by RMB Builders. Check out Rhett Bourgeois and his crew online at rmb-builders.com. Rhett and the crew can get you into a brand new house. They can help you rebuild the one you're in, or the type of jobs that you need done around the house, the office. Get in touch with RMB-Builders, RMB-Builders online, and at RMB Builders on Instagram. We are live here from our Click Here Digital campus every single day. Remember, over at Click Here Digital, located on Interline in Baton Rouge, online at clickheredigital.com. Our phone line every single day brought to you by our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Today we will talk to Andy Staples of On 3. Andy will be here at 8:45 this morning, so not until later in the show. And Jacques Doucet will be in at 8 a.m. this morning. We'll be talking video to Jacques, and we will be on the phone with Andy Staples coming up today on the Jordy Culotta Show. And we always want to tell you about our sponsor, Tiger Air. Remember Tiger Air, TigerAir.com. You've heard them and the revolutionary air conditions that they're putting in football helmets, but they've also got the Zephyr Standard, and we got our Born on the Bayou model, the purple and gold model Tiger Air. You can find it online at TigerAir.com. Remember, every home game, Jacques and the crew from Tiger Air are posted up in front of Mike's cage, where you can buy your own Zephyr model, and the purple and gold one is awesome for game day. If you want to check it out, Stewie, zoom in on the new model here, if you don't mind.
Oh, team color?
Team color coach. Great logo, by the way. I know that we've talked about that a couple of times.
I don't know. They grounded on that logo too. If you remember the story.
They did. This is the Zephyr Standard that you can pick up, and if you're out at Tiger Stadium this week, you can pick it up
there you
in
go.
front of Mike the Tiger's cage, or online at tigerair.com. Support our great sponsor over here at Tiger Air. All right, so we will obviously talk about the weekend ahead. This is on paper, an incredible competitive weekend in college football. But we have got to start with the news that hit yesterday, and there was a lot of speculation going around the LSU fan base on what was going on with Greg Brooks. I know that Lloyd had received a couple of text messages about some things that was potentially happening. Obviously, in this industry, people are always kind of curious about stories like this. So you get messages of people hearing that the medical emergency was X, Y, or Z, and you just nothing that you can confirm. Wilson Alexander has as good a relationships as you'll find over at LSU football. Has broken a lot of news. We asked him yesterday morning, directly during his Tuesday visit with us, what he had heard, what was the latest on Greg Brooks, and obviously he had heard some rumors, but nothing that could be solidified, nothing that could be confirmed that was going on. But yesterday, Greg Brooks' family published a statement, and you got an idea of the severity of what the senior safety is dealing with. And it is way beyond football. And I'll read this directly from the statement. Greg Jr. was diagnosed last week with a large brain tumor that required emergency surgery. Doctors successfully performed the procedure Friday to remove the mass, and we are awaiting biopsy results. We are grateful for the work and the care of the medical staff helping Greg through these challenges and the concerns love poured out by so many in Louisiana, Arkansas, and national sports communities. This means the world to us at a very difficult time. Greg continues to fight and await further clarity on the extent of the battle. His incredible strength of character gives us confidence, but we also know that he needs our support more than ever. Please keep Greg and our family in your prayers. #pray43. This is when you got the confirmation that it was a brain tumor, was obviously just shocking to hear that Brooks is dealing with this. Greg came through the studio a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the build-up to the season, and you never got any sign that he was obviously dealing with something like this, but the stories over the last couple of weeks of him battling vertigo, him going through some things off the field now make complete and total sense after the news from yesterday that it was in fact a brain tumor that required emergency surgery. Now, they are in this period in time where they are awaiting the results of the finding, the mass, and they're waiting biopsy results, which I cannot imagine what that time period is like for an individual that is going through this, as well as family, mom, dad, siblings, people that are very immediate to the case. So obviously we know Greg a little bit, and he's been on the show multiple times and has been great as far as his access and just coming through here. So knowing him a little bit, this definitely rocked when you heard it yesterday afternoon. And we'll continue to do everything we can to just support him, the family, and it seems like right now all we can really do is continue to just think and pray for what they are going through, because I don't know if you haven't gone through it, if any of us can even fathom what this time period is like as you await to find out whether or not this brain tumor is malignant or not. I mean, just it is
There's so much going on. Like it's so many
just
steps.
A lot to digest,
Yep.
man, for the family and for everybody. So for Greg Brooks, obviously, I know that the term thoughts and prayers sometimes gets oversaid a bit, but I don't think we can say it enough in a situation like this where you just want to make sure and think and hope and pray for the best for this individual and their family as they go through this. So, look, yesterday we were talking about the potential of what it would possibly mean to get Greg Brooks back on this defense and how he can help and how he brings another dynamic. All of those conversations are lost, right? I think we need to forget about that for good reason, right? He's got a much stiffer fight on his hands right now than worrying about what Arkansas's offense is going to do on Saturday. It sucks for Greg, and it sucks for everybody, obviously, that's going through this. But, man, just the severity of that when you read that statement yesterday. I know when I saw it for confirmed, I had heard some things, kind of over the last 48 hours that, it was much more serious than vertigo. Mm-hmm. But when I saw confirmed brain tumor, I just, man, I had no idea that it was as heavy and as big of a story as this is. So, man, Greg Brooks, get well, man. We are hoping that everything around this situation is positive, and that you can make a speedy recovery and get back to life as soon as possible. That is a young, vibrant, smart, healthy young man that seemingly had the world in the palm of his hand. So hopefully he can get that back in due time. So continue to think, pray, and hope the best for Greg Brooks and his family. And if you want, there is a hashtag out there, hashtag #Pray4 3, that you can keep up with the news on, and you can obviously follow as well. So we all saw it yesterday. I know it's heavy on all of us, and we'll try and bring an energetic or an upbeat show with some positive vibes. But obviously the weight of Greg Brooks' story is definitely not going to be forgotten, and we'll probably be around this team all season long. Mm-hmm. I would imagine. I would think that this now turns into a story for teammates and for the program where
play for Greg.
You really, you put your season towards all for 3, and it makes a lot of sense now in that post game locker room with Brian Kelly on just what that was. Usually when a player stays behind on a road trip and there's something medically that's going on, you don't really hear about that in the game, during the game. And there was a lot of talk about Greg during the pregame. There was some, obviously, talk about Greg in the postgame and some stuff that LSU put out on social media where, directly after the game, Brian Kelly said he was giving the game ball to Greg Brooks and for what he was going through medically. I think that's when really the intensity turned up around, everybody that was kind of following this story. Like, whoa, that seems like more than vertigo. That seems like something more than just some episodes of what you're trying to get down to the bottom of what's going on. And, what they obviously found out last Thursday, I believe, is when they ultimately found it. Obviously the way that carried over into the weekend and affected the team, you could see it directly after the game. Brian Kelly was speaking about Greg and talking about how the game ball was going to go to him. So it all kind of makes a little bit more sense here as we continue to talk about it. Lloyd is here this morning. We actually got a full house. Noah is here, obviously. Noah, who runs our social media team. Austin Gayron is here, who's been helping us out in studio with some of the live comments that have been coming through.
Swinging around town, Stewie. There he is.
A little swivel there.
Swivel.
For the camera. So shout out to our guy, Greg Brooks, man. Get healthy. And can't wait to see you back doing life, bro. As for LSU and this team getting prepared for Saturday, I started LSU Gold. I have not finished it. I have, in fact, I'm looking at it right now. I've got 13 minutes left in episode 3.
That would be the fun part.
Where I'd imagine, because I haven't seen any game
footage yet.
Game footage yet.
So yeah, you're about to get to the climax of the episode. But I watched it last night. It was great content as always. It's heavily I don't want to like spoil these if people haven't watched them yet, but heavily focused on Jane Daniels. You get a nice little insight into his life and kind of where he was at a crossroads leaving Arizona State. So there's a lot of good in there about Jaden, and obviously, it's just cool to follow the team around. You get a little insight. Cody Worsham doing his thing, LSU Creative. What do they call it now? That Stadium Club South or what Productions?
Yes.
Yeah. It's that little crew. South Stadium Productions. Yeah, I think that's slick.
Yeah.
The little crew that was running around
that's
up
where
there.
The
Brain Trust.
Are.
Yeah.
The old hub of LSU football while they were doing the addition to LSU football ops. If you remember, that's where the original drum was being banged by.
Oh yes,
was in South Stadium.
Was he banging the drum in the new Roback commercial?
They had the. Is he really?
Yes.
They had the.
He's the interim CEO at Roback.
Yeah, interim CEO, Coach Edo.
That's just who you want running your company.
Got him doing stances.
How you doing, lady?
Come here, baby.
Right this way.
Talk to him, daddy, real quick.
I got my CFO right here.
But I mean, like, if you remember, we used to go up to those offices, man, and like, it is maybe the best view on campus.
Absolutely.
I mean, no, the South Stadium shot, like, I mean, like, you're looking like in the Alec Box Stadium, like you're looking down, like you're seeing like almost like just.
This is your kingdom.
You're in an airplane.
Yeah.
In the way that you're like surveying LSU, and then like you just kind of walk behind you and you open up the doors to Tiger Stadium. It's a great spot, like a diamond of an office complex of how you could use. They had the big like team room that they would bring the guys in over there. It's a hell of a space in Tiger Stadium where I'd imagine you could use it for a lot of cool stuff for recruiting purposes. They have the Leonard Fournette purple jersey from the South Carolina run. In the South Carolina game where he donated.
Yeah, the Hurricane Fund.
Yeah, where he donated that.
That was illegal.
They tried to suspend him.
They wouldn't allow him to do it. He was trying to help out flood victims.
Yeah, it similarly showed its ass immediately. It's like, we're trying to donate money. You're trying to donate this jersey to raise money for hurricane relief. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that.
Okay, so you don't want to help any people?
Right.
Well, we don't get a cut of that, do we?
You can't give away our money.
Yeah, exactly what it was. Like, you want to give a piece of that to the NCAA? How about we donate the jersey? It's like, okay, guys, we get it.
All right, we get what's going on.
So, man, I will also say you got to give a shout out to, or at least I want to recognize on this show, Sam Pittman, the way that he led his press conference off yesterday. Obviously, Greg Brooks is a former Arkansas Razorback. He is a New Orleans native who went to Arkansas out of high school. He transferred back to LSU for his final 2 years. But the mark that he left on the Arkansas program is pretty evident by the head coach's remarks earlier this week. I thought that Sam Pittman, by no means am I praising the way that he handled the PR on this. You could just tell he was a very human being moment for him, where somebody that he's coached, who's got a relationship with, and it was obvious that Greg was fantastic while he was in Fayetteville and helping and representing that program. And the way that Sam Pittman, I thought, paid homage to that and paid respect to Greg was pretty first class and stand up. So, if you're going into Tiger Stadium this Saturday, I hope everybody is going into Tiger Stadium this Saturday because it feels like it's going to be one of those crisp fall Saturday evenings in Tiger Stadium that's just going to be just right, where the weather is perfect and, you've got SEC football right in front of your face. There will be a ton of respect, I'd imagine, for number 3 on Saturday night, being that Arkansas is in town, LSU is on the field, his current team versus his past team. You could feel the love that Sam Pittman and the Arkansas program has for Greg Brooks. Obviously, Brian Kelly and LSU in the way that they have handled the past couple of days. You can see how much Brooks means to his current team, so I'd imagine that is going to be on display on Saturday night. So if you get out to Tiger Stadium, obviously root the hell against Arkansas on that 3rd and 8, but know that they got a lot of love for Greg Brooks and that they've shown that this week in coming over. And I think that'll go in to Saturday night as well because, I think that, Arkansas will be playing with just as heavy as a heart as LSU will, it seems like, from just the effect that Greg had on that program as well. So
and you
should be a pretty special night.
Absolutely. A little kumbaya. But you wouldn't think, for as far as the game goes, you wouldn't expect the LSU team to be distracted, right? If that was going to happen, it would have happened last week.
I would think
there was so much question marks around it. It's like, this is serious. That could have, especially on a Thursday before a game, where you're like, what else would you be thinking about? Now it feels like LSU's been able to digest it a little bit, and they've known this for a while. It's the fan base that's just not finding out. So as far as the team goes, if you want to look at an LSU perspective, they have more time to digest something that feels like it can blindside you at any time because you read the word tumor and you're just like, whoa, like what's the seriousness of it? But it feels like if LSU knew a little bit of it, you wouldn't see them being as blindsided. You just kind of continue to do what you've been doing since Friday.
I would say that the focus last week,
it's because of that.
I wouldn't solely say that it was because of that. It seemed like they had a good week of preparation, but I would say the focus has a lot to do with that type of news.
Yeah,
I think that straightens you up. That humbles you.
Yeah, it can be a rallying cry.
Absolutely. I think that all season long, this is kind of the backdrop of the team.
Yeah. This becomes a theme for sure because,
and by no means for any type of rah-rah purpose. This is legitimate. 100% organic, where you got one of your players, you got one of your teammates, you got one of your guys, and not only just kind of like one of the dudes, a leader, a team captain.
Yeah.
Somebody that holds a very strong voice and presence in the facility is, something that a football team, a group can, that's a common denominator. Doesn't matter where you're from, what your background is, what your what anything is in your life. It doesn't matter. You all respect and love Greg Brooks, right? Then
team captain.
Everybody show up to play on Saturday. There's not a lot that has to be said, and I think you saw that on Saturday versus Mississippi State. I think that you'll continue to see that through the year. Now, does that mean that they'll still have moments of lap? For sure, right? Where, they're still a football team, but I think, what we saw last weekend was a lot of reality in the locker room that one of their boys is in trouble. One of their boys is hurting.
I think it brings a lot of perspective to them, too.
Exactly.
Because, they realize, a lot of them probably were taking this for granted. The experience to play at LSU or just to be at LSU, a football player at LSU, a lot of them took it for granted. And now Greg got it stripped away from him in his senior year. And, this is what he wants to do. Greg Brooks wants to be a football player. And right now he doesn't even know if he's going to, live, really.
Right.
Truthfully, the realistic part of it. And a lot of them see that and they're like, oh, shit, this could get real for me, too, at some point. And I could get football taken away from me. So you could see that passion, that fire last week that we haven't seen all season.
I think that's the best way to put it, because it puts everything in perspective, right? Where this is football can be taken away from you at any moment. Obviously, you saw what happened in Buffalo with DeMar Hamlin. Those types of situations are real where it happens. And you saw, obviously they canceled that game. It happens on the field. But then you saw a Buffalo team that was it kind of, like you said, perspective is the best word for it, because you look around, you're like, damn, I was playing yesterday. Mm-hmm. And now I'm
I don't know if I'm going to play.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to have GB on the back end. Right. And then it makes everybody play a little bit better. You saw Andre Sam playing with passion. You saw Greg Penn playing with passion. Those guys that you expect to play that way, and now you kind of, you don't want to say rallying cry, but you have to step up because you lost a guy. Mm-hmm. You lost not only a voice in the locker room, but a player on the field, and it changes. Everybody has to get a little bit better now.
Yeah,
and because football goes on, as sad as that is to say, the sport moves on, it rolls on. You'll be playing LSU football Saturday. And so it's a perspective that the team has to take on, a mindset of it's a rally. You're doing this all for free. You probably see stickers come out, something like that, where you can rally around the team, put it on the helmet.
You could see them on both sides.
Absolutely.
Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant. Katie, speaking of a New Orleans native, and Greg Brooks down in New Orleans, one of the best restaurants you'll find is Katie's Restaurant, located at 3701 Iberville Street. In fact, I'm heading down there this morning when we get off the show. Got a meeting with Scott Craig and his crew down there about some social media stuff. Looking forward to talking to Scott and his power structure over at Katie's and their restaurants for Francesca's and Katie's, and talking about a plan of what's going on down there. Remember, St. Louis and New Orleans style deli menu options, the coldest beer, great service. Been reminding you about their new Sunday hours. They're now open 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Sunday. This is to embrace the football crowd. They want to be a pre- and post-game spot for New Orleanians that may be going to Saints games, or if you just need a place to post up and watch football at, Katie's is a great spot. You know you'll have great food. You know you'll have cold beer. You know you'll have great service. When you get to Katie's, all you're really missing is football, and they got that for you too on Sundays with all the new televisions, the new hours. So check them out. If you go to the Dome, you can pregame there. If you go to the Dome, you can postgame there. If you don't go to the Dome, you can go there and just watch the games. So the Saints in Green Bay this weekend, so this will be a perfect weekend to try it out on Sunday.
2-0.
Katie's located on Iberville Street, and of course Francesca's, which is located over in Lakeview. So LSU is going to kick off on Saturday night. Should be a beautiful night for football. Are you planning on going? Jump inside of the chat. Let us know if you're going to be out there. It should be a fantastic day of football, and not only for LSU and Arkansas.
The slate.
The slate. That's why I want to talk to Andy Staples coming up here at 8:45. I mean, this
is the slate.
Going to be a lot of moving and shaking on this Saturday. You're going to figure some things out here. I mean, and it gets going early. That's what I love about it. I mean, you wake up Saturday morning, you got game day on, and as soon as game day rolls out on ABC, you go straight to Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina, where the Tigers will be hosting Florida State. That'll be the number 4 Noles, who are coming off of a pretty lazy performance up at Boston College last weekend. They were able to eke out a win. Were they looking ahead to this Clemson game? We'll find out Saturday morning at 11 o'clock on the SEC.
How did they get bamboozled into an 11 a.m. kick?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's probably why they won out the ACC.
Possibly. I mean, somebody within the television executives obviously graduated from Florida State somewhere along the way and has got some pull. Auburn at Texas A&M is going to be an 11 o'clock game on Saturday morning. Hugh Freeze versus Jimbo Fisher. Look, obviously, this is just a couple of name recognition squads on the helmet. You got 2 coaches. You got 2 SEC heavyweights kind of going at each other on Saturday morning as well. That'll be a good one to take in, where you can flip back and forth from a national broadcast to a local SEC one.
Battle of the bullshitters.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
doing Jimbo.
what sideline does that not?
Who's more uncomfortable?
You just broke down every college football game coming up on Saturday. You've also got a 2:30 kickoff between Colorado and Oregon. Obviously, did you see the numbers that Colorado game pulled?
9.3 million.
9.3 million viewers is where it peaked out at. The regular Pac-12 Saturday night game over the last 3 years was averaging 1.1 million viewers. That game is pulling 9 times its number a year later with Deion Sanders on the sideline. Does anybody think he is worth the $28 million investment that Colorado made in him? I mean, like, the money that they have made on that investment and what they are getting back is just you will read about this as far as case studies in college sports go for years. I mean, Deion Sanders and the investment that Colorado has made in him and what they're getting back is tremendous. To see that number of viewers that popped on Saturday night, over 9.3 million people watching that Colorado State football game. I mean, that's LSU Bama numbers.
Yeah. And that's why you're seeing Shedeur shoot up the draft boards. Yeah. You're seeing the 98-yard touchdown drive in the last 2 minutes. Everybody's watching them play.
Same time slot at 2:30 on Saturday, a huge one for Alabama. Alabama is hosting Ole Miss. Ole Miss is the number 1 scoring offense in the SEC. They're a top 3 scoring offense in the country right now, averaging over 50 points, and Alabama's got some issues. They're going back to Jalen Milroe. This game will be in Tuscaloosa. Alabama potentially could lose 2 games at Bryant-Denny in September. When's the last time that happened? 07?
It's been a long time, Coach.
I mean,
It
that
would have
has
to be
been,
07.
I mean, that was it. I don't even know if he lost 2 in his first year in September.
But the other scary thing, if you're an Alabama fan, Hunter, I know you're there. It's okay. Is
This is a safe space.
but when's the last time they lost this early? If
They went 4-3 at home in 07.
07, yeah. But I feel like those losses came on the back end.
Yeah,
I don't think
they didn't they didn't win a game after LSU.
Right.
They lost to Georgia in September.
Rolled all the way into LSU.
Lost to Florida State in Jacksonville in September. And then, lost to LSU in November.
Yeah, this is so it's since 2007 would be the first time they've lost 2 games that are this early in the schedule, because that's what you could almost book it that Alabama was coming in with either no losses or very rarely one loss, with LSU going into November. You're always looking at LSU to make sure they had the ship righted to make it for the game of the century, game of the year, of the week.
I mean,
for LSU, Bama.
Alabama could wake up Sunday morning and be out of it.
Yeah.
So could LSU.
So could LSU.
So could LSU, by the way, because LSU is another, they're a loss away, just like Alabama is. And I'm not here and ready to put, W's next to anybody on LSU's schedule. I need to see a little bit of consistency to make sure that they can put together last week's performance rather than putting together, the second half performance of the opening game. Obviously, they're making strides and getting better. But still in that same discussion as Alabama is, where you got an early season loss that's put you in a place where you can't afford to drop any, right? I mean, especially in September, and Alabama has a huge one with Ole Miss in town on Saturday. That'll be a 2:30 kickoff from Bryant-Denny, where the college football world will be watching to see how Alabama responds and how they and really what happens with Ole Miss here.
Yeah, I mean, because Ole Miss, this is Lane Kiffin's opportunity to
is
finally pull it off.
This is it. And and look, he's doing the Lane Kiffin thing.
Right.
Like, he's trying to play head games with him. He's taking shots at him in the press conference. I mean, Saban had to answer the question yesterday. They were like, so is T-Rob running the defense or is Kevin Steele? And, you see, he's like, Steele's running the defense. It's like, Lane, this guy, man. I mean, like, it's just, but he knows what he's doing.
Right.
And if you're gonna call the dogs, man,
Rat poison.
like, you got to show up and you got to play on Saturday.
And
Like,
this is the year to finally do it.
yes.
It feels like this is the most real. What is he,
Yes.
0-3 against Saban?
Yeah.
And they've started to play more of.
And really, the closest he was the first one.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, ever since then, he's been trying to recapture that magic. Remember, he was going forward on all these fourth downs, and they ended up, like,
Get your popcorn
I think
ready.
he was down like 21-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah,
and
he's,
it was like, this whole thing backfired,
Well,
man.
was that the when he talked on the sidelines? He was like, "Get your popcorn ready," like
Yeah.
right before,
Yeah.
and then he gets on the
Right.
back. He's like, "We better call it a hell of a game because I said something real stupid."
Yeah, right.
And then they end up being super aggressive. But that was the mindset that you saw from Lane, where it felt the first time that somebody's actually understood that field goals weren't going to beat Alabama. A lot of people would get into the red zone and feel like they had gotten a win by getting a chance to score points. And then it became, well, now Alabama has this offense that is humming at an alarming rate because Lane Kiffin installed it. And so he was like, no, we're not going to be able to beat Alabama team with just 3 points. And then obviously that can go one way or the other, and it backfired, got him down 21 early.
Yeah.
Then you're out of it. But Lane, it feels like, has at least the best idea, maybe, before, I guess you could say, Brian Kelly now. That is like the best matchup of wits. But Lane Kiffin at least it always felt like he had a fighting chance going into this. But like Noah said, Alabama can bleed. You already seen it.
Yeah.
So I think it does feel like Ole Miss's best chance to get a shot. But also that this is a typical Alabama spot where, hold on.
Right.
It's not over.
And this is why I say, in the sense of going into the weekend, where it feels like you would say this is a bigger weekend for Lane.
Right.
This is as big of a weekend for Alabama as they've been put in this spot as it feels in a long time, because I've always expected them to respond in the way that you just pointed out. Like, where everybody's building up the other side. Everybody's talking about, well, this is the year. This is their shot. And Alabama just comes in and pummels you. Like, they beat the will out of you.
Make a statement again.
Right. I don't know if they have that team.
I don't know if they
Like,
do either.
I wonder. I'm curious if they have that team. And if they do, you'll find out on Saturday.
Right, and it's a it's a bigger version of what I saw last week with LSU and Mississippi State. Like, I know that it's two totally different teams, but I'm just saying a call and response game where you saw maybe Alabama's worst game they've played in a spot where you just, especially like coming off a text, you got to see if they're real or not. And LSU kind of felt like made a statement against Mississippi State. Alabama has to do that on a vastly bigger scale going up against an Ole Miss team that they're pretty good. They're
Right.
13th, but you say all that, and Alabama is the favorite.
So that's the
giving up 7 points.
The 2:30 slate. You've got a couple of good ones. You've got Colorado and Oregon. You've got Alabama and Ole Miss. Then you get to the 6 o'clock window on Saturday. I mean, we are wasted on football. At
Oh,
this
my
point.
God.
I mean, we are drunk on football. We're not saying no to anything at this point.
I got another one in me.
Anything that comes in front of your face, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Eat this, drink
Yes,
this.
sure. Pour it in here.
Yes.
At 6 o'clock, you got you got LSU and Arkansas. That'll be the game at 6 o'clock that obviously everybody will be paying attention to. Out west, a game of the forgottens, Oregon State playing Washington State. Both these teams in the top 25. Now, look, they are a programs without a home, right? I mean, like there's the Pac-12 dissolved and everybody's kind of running for more money. Washington State and Oregon State are two of the teams kind of left like looking around with Stanford and Cal going, so what now for us? And both of them in this matchup, Oregon State's number 14 in the country right now. Washington State, number 21 in the country. They'll take on each other in Fox. I know not a lot of people care about that one down here, but that'll be a game from a national standpoint that everybody's watching. That's your 6 o'clock window. Just 30 minutes later at 6:30, another heavyweight of the day will kick off between Ohio State visiting Notre Dame in South Bend. This will be number 6 traveling to number 9. Hello. This one will be on NBC at 6:30 on Saturday night. Another top 10 matchup for you on Saturday to really round it out. I mean, you've also got games like Iowa, Penn State that are out there. You've got South Carolina and Mississippi State that are out there. I mean, you've got games that are nice lead-ins. You've got games that from an undercard standpoint on any other weekend would really stand out. But this weekend in college football,
It's the weekend.
it is. I mean, it feels like almost like a bowl weekend.
It does. It's the slate.
In just the buildup of it. So
And it goes to the
Thursday night matchup is Georgia State and Coastal Carolina.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll take that.
Yeah, just a little Thursday night football with your Thursday night football.
Dun, dun,
But
dun,
this speaks to the parity of the league of where college football is at, right? Where it used to you'd have the top end of like top 10 teams all be in the SEC. Now it feels like it's spread out a little bit to where you kind of need to dabble in every matchup. Like there's so much parity around college football, and you talk about this being the slate. After what I saw last weekend, I'm not ever not watching a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Like any team can get it. You had USF Alabama coming down to the wire on a college kid stream from his phone that you still had to watch.
That poor intern.
He's still working. Get these wires right.
Mm-hmm.
But you talk about like doubting Alabama. It's the same thing as like when people used to bet against Tom Brady. Like, oh, he's going to lose a step. This is the year.
No doubt.
This is the year.
Don't do it, Dan. I like you.
Exactly. Don't do it, Dan. Don't do it.
I like you. I'm your friend. Don't do it.
But a hell of a slate. And with the early 11 a.m. game, Florida State, Clemson being just as important as any SEC matchup for LSU, it feels like, ladies, they're going to want to get to the tailgate early. So be careful. This is a time to temper. Walk lightly, be nice.
Well, I mean, look,
Don't slow them down.
This is one of those Saturdays
That you're going to be
for
there.
the boys. If you want to wake up and maybe go take a little early lap, maybe set up the tent, set up the table.
So you start
get the
being
cable
nice
running.
now.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And really, I could send an Uber, or I could, maybe pack a parking pass where I can come back and grab you later on in the day. Really, I'm not looking for any disruptions on Saturday.
This is a
Right, like I mean, like
free weekend.
This is a day where, I mean, fellas, if you gotta pick the weeds and cut the grass, I would knock that out like on a Wednesday afternoon,
Today.
Thursday afternoon, maybe knock off early on Friday from work, and head out and head home and do that. That way, the Saturday, this one, like you want no creases, you want no wrinkles, you want nothing that is going to get in your way of just enjoying however you want to take it in. right? Like whatever your style of watching a game day where LSU is at home, then this needs to be
It's up
this
to you.
is your Super Bowl.
Yeah, you got to be flawless all week.
I mean, like
full week of preparation.
This is what we've been practicing for. This is why we lift all these weights. This is why we do the summer routines where we wake up in the morning.
This is why you do those dishes.
Right, and you do those dishes on days where she didn't ask.
You mow the lawn.
You pick up after yourself. You make the bed every
wash
now and
the
again on a
clothes.
Saturday morning, and she walks in and just is like pleasantly surprised. What's this about? Well, week 4 of the college football season.
Have you seen the slate?
Do not call me.
Have you seen the game,
I
honey?
gotta get this bed in.
Oh, I got to get this bed in. Get a little breakfast going, wake her up
A
early.
lot easier to ask for that grace in June,
Right.
rather than asked on September 20th when the favor needs to be called in on the 23rd. So hopefully everybody's
Start
done their
now.
preparation.
Start now.
We'll find out.
Oh, yeah. You'll see it.
You'll find out who's in a good place and who's not.
Oh, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no dark.
What are you doing for Ohio State, Notre Dame? I'm at the in-laws, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Somebody is going to somebody has a 10-year reunion. His wife's 10-year reunion is Saturday.
Like high school reunion?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, kill me.
Well, bro,
We had ours in December.
I was about to say, who plans that on a Saturday in the fall?
During football season.
In Louisiana.
If they plan that during
She hates
LSU season, they know I'm not.
that party planner hates life.
100%.
or hates the class.
Yeah. I told you
Who's
I'd get
coming?
you back.
Nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Hell yeah, we don't have to do it.
nobody's gonna be there.
Wait, I think it's a Redemptress.
Redemptress doesn't
Where
even
they
open.
I know. It's a Redemptress class reunion. They still graduated from there.
That's true, but that must be a hell of a party.
Right.
Man,
They
now,
go back to the
I will
school?
say, I might go to that. I mean, like,
School doesn't exist anymore.
Redemptress was fun. For
Yeah.
sure. The Redemptress
stories.
parties, they were different. They were different.
those
for
walls
sure.
could
Yeah,
talk.
right. Remember, Daily, we are brought to you by Oshner Andrews Sports Medicine Clinic. Pediatric patients, high school athletes. Doesn't matter if you're a member of the Saints, the Pelicans, a weekend warrior, or even a senior citizen. We can all use Oshner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute for care. Located over here in Baton Rouge at the Grove facility. If you want to find out where they are online closest to you, Oshner.org/sports medicine to find out what's going on with Oshner. But look, they've got specialized professionals in all fields of medicine to help you out. We've been reminding you about the Saturday Morning Grove Clinic that's open for high school athletes. If you are injured on Friday night, if you think you're injured on Friday night, if you want just a pro to look at it and diagnose it from our team over at Oshner, get over to Oshner's Grove Complex on Bluebonnet here in Baton Rouge where they can help you out. We'll talk to Jacques coming up at 8 a.m. this morning. Jacques will obviously we'll jump into LSU, Arkansas, some of the storylines there. We'll get back to more of a national scene with Andy Staples coming up at the end of hour 2 today during the 8:45 segment. Staples will be through here, and he will give us a recap of what he's thought up to this point, and we'll look ahead to this college football weekend where everybody's in play. As we said, it'll be a fantastic game, or it's a fantastic weekend of games to check out from college football.
I feel terrible for this guy, Blake. He said his wife's cousin's birthday is this weekend.
Wife's
Wife's
cousin.
cousin's
Yeah,
birthday.
sorry. That's not my cousin.
Wife's
Cousin's birthday. That's not even on the fringe. That's
I'm sorry.
That's an
wifey,
absolute no.
But I'm gonna take the 2 weeks of misery,
right.
Yeah, I'll take you being mad at me for 2
and I'm
weeks
doing
about
it.
this.
I'm going out there,
Yeah, it's so many games to watch.
and I'm
Wife's
sorry you're not gonna
cousin.
be able to get in touch with me. My cell phone service is gonna be blocked because there's gonna be over 120,000 people out there. I'm sure by noon.
Do not disturb.
You see
That's
me
the
all
way
the
it goes,
time
fellas.
as your husband. Go enjoy time with your family. You know, go kick it back with your cousin you haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, we see each other every day.
Right.
This is-
You go have fun with your cousin.
With the
Wife's
folks.
Cousin's birthday.
Blake.
Blake, look. You gotta find an
This
excuse.
is the this is a testament to you. It's either gonna be real good for you or real bad for you.
Look, make up the story that one of your boys you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
same
even make it
thing.
up. I wouldn't even make it up.
You're gonna see somebody. You're gonna see a friend out there.
Right.
I wouldn't even
You'll
make
find
it
a
up.
friend.
That
I would
hasn't
just
come in
say,
town. He's
look,
from Arkansas.
This is the biggest college football weekend of the season. I don't ask for much.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to your cousin's birthday.
Is that cool? We're good.
Like,
We good?
And you don't have to go to the game.
it's all good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, and you don't have to go to my cousin's
Yeah.
birthday.
My cousin is actually in town for his birthday for the LSU game.
Right.
Perfect. See
See, it works out
Sunday.
perfect.
So good luck
Good luck, Blake.
Blake, damn.
Keep us updated.
LSU Arkansas, one of the games in the slate. So what's this one mean for LSU? Right? You've got an opportunity here in back-to-back weeks to put a performance together and start building some consistency, in my opinion, of starting to create the identity of who you are. And from a defensive standpoint, if you can put back-to-back weeks together where you have the type of performance that you had last weekend, now you're really starting to grow, develop into a defense of, look, that's how you play. That's the style of what you're going to bring. They got to stay healthy, obviously, you know, first and foremost. But, you know, continuing to put guys in situations like Deshaun Womack and put him out there, continuing to play Harold Perkins on the outside, continuing to get guys into the mix that are starting to have really good outputs. The more Greg Penn is out there, it seems like everybody is playing better around Greg Penn. The respect that Penn has from his peers and from his coaches is very obvious after listening to the media availability that LSU has been allotted earlier this week. I mean, whether it was Brian Kelly speaking about Penn on Monday or whether it was some of the players that we heard from talking about, you know, just what his presence means on the defensive side of the ball, you know, just kind of shows his value, his worth. And, you know, at a position in linebacker where, you know, there's some obvious question marks, it's really refreshing to hear that one of the leaders, one of the most trusted guys on the team is in that spot, right, is at that level. There's a couple of guys that Brian Kelly announced would be probable this week. One of them was Mason Taylor. The other was Ovi Ogofu, who we've seen Braden Swinson step in and play that jack linebacker in his absence. And I would say this, we mentioned this after the Florida State game. Swinson has been, in my opinion, through the first 3 games, the better player. And whether or not it was because Ovi was battling injury, I don't know the specifics on the timeline of it, but I do know that when you watched him out there very early in the season, really against Florida State in the first half, you were wondering, like, why is 13 off the field? I mean, he's the one that's creating the disruption, the havoc, the one that's really kind of back there causing the most commotion. So I think he should be playing more in just the natural sense of it. I mean, he feels like the better player at the position. Denver Harris is another one that we look at this defense, and now we're going into what would be the 3rd week where there's not a lot of discussion around Harris anymore, right? I mean, going into the Grambling week, we were talking and chattering a ton about number 10. Coming out of the Grambling game, you talked a little bit about the PI and what was going on his first time back. People were evaluating him. The second week down, you know, that he's been out there, you don't hear his name called on the broadcast at all, which that's what you want from your cornerback, left tackle, in positions where, you know they're out there. You just don't have to be reminded of it. And Harris was a guy, didn't have his name called once last week. Will Rogers, Mississippi State, is no good. They are not good at all. I'm not saying that Harris won the day by not having his name called against what looks like the worst team in the league.
Oh.
But you got to go out there and execute. You can only play who's in front of you. And LSU in one game really looked like a dominant team against a poor club, against a bad team. And that's what you're supposed to do if you're as good as you say you are. Now here comes Denver Harris again. KJ Jefferson coming into this game. Jefferson has had a pretty good start to the season, really going into last week. He was playing as good as and consistent as a quarterback in the SEC as the league had. Now, last week he had some struggles versus BYU.
The wheels fell off in the second half.
It was bad. It was bad.
But their offensive line is bad. They bad offensive line play. They don't really have receivers like they had last season. Best running back was out, so it's kind of like the KJ Jefferson show, and that's it.
It just felt like it felt like he ran out of steam.
Yeah.
Like with the BYU team that was going, they were going back and forth early. Because I was watching a little bit of the game. I was watching a little bit of the game yesterday, and it was like, okay, this is real. This is fun.
Yeah.
And Arkansas kind of found themselves in a shootout, and then the wheels just fell off, and you end up losing to BYU when felt like you were kind of going to get out of there with a win. And so, obviously, for Arkansas and Sam Pittman, it's back to the drawing board. I wonder if they get who was their running back that's out? Raheem
Mostert, Rocket Sanders.
Rocket Sanders
I said
back.
Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, he's good too, and he's fast.
Yeah.
But if you get
he's
that,
smooth.
Yeah, he is.
if you get Sanders back, it feels like that's something that they can hang their hat on with KJ Jefferson back there. That's their two playmakers.
KJ Jefferson, 13
Yeah, I mean, I'm
carries.
sure people are going to start. I mean, the players, they were probably aiming for the players to get through BYU week. Let's get ready
Yeah,
for
look ahead spot.
Let's get ready for LSU. So I think that's probably why they got caught.
It's just so concerning, the non-conference games with the league, man. I mean, like, what's the deal? Like, nobody's represented.
No.
Nobody. I mean, whether it was A&M versus Miami, South Carolina versus North Carolina, LSU, Florida State, Bama, Texas,
Ole Miss
LSU,
beat Tulane.
Utah.
Yeah.
Ole Miss
Ole
beat
Miss,
Tulane.
Luckily.
Right.
Luckily.
Yeah,
I mean, they had to
that's-
look at their best player and was like, yo, Junkins,
Step
get us
up.
out of here, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, against Tulane without their quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the best non-conference win of the season.
Absolutely. For the SEC, the whole league.
So far, yeah.
Utah took it to Florida.
And Florida
And then
took
Florida,
it to Tennessee
yeah.
this weekend,
Yeah.
which was
Right.
as strange as it gets.
Right.
Everybody's looking around the room
Right.
like, I don't trust anybody in
Everybody
here.
put your
were
guns
good.
up.
Yeah.
Put
Wait,
your
I
guns
thought
up
you were
at the
good.
same time.
Is that clipped empty? Put it.
And then Georgia's non-conference is still Ball State and Kent State.
Yeah, that's where they get to sneak.
And Georgia looked like
And maybe I'm maybe I'm a little tipsy, but I mean, it'd be like, I'll play them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, you know, I mean,
watching
like,
Georgia. Yeah,
with LSU's offense,
I'll play them.
I really and truly, I would play anybody nobody in the country makes me fearful. Nobody has that feeling to them of, oh shit, like if you get down. To me, the performance of the season that I've seen that is the most intimidating is Texas going into Alabama and pushing them around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best performance I've seen all year by a team in, what's that, a month? I mean, we've been watching college football now for a month if we're counting week 0. In 4 weeks, Texas going into Bama has been the most impressive game performance team that I've seen. But still, if you're LSU, I mean, I'd go to DK Royal and play them. You know?
Got JD.
All right.
Would you still feel the same way if you didn't see last week?
No, I would not. No, I mean, no, to be honest, no, I would not. But that is the LSU that I expected going into the season.
Yeah.
Right. So
Like,
that
I
it
expected
goes
them
back
to
to
be
that.
throwing the ball down the field, making big plays, letting Harold Perkins run all over the place.
Denver Harris is starting.
Yeah,
Deshaun
I mean,
Womack's playing.
Mason Smith's out there
Yeah.
taking on double teams, freeing up Savion Jones. I mean, like, that's the stuff going into the season. Like, I was kind of anticipating.
Thought we were already there.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Just
I mean,
took a little, had to see some things first.
Had to
I
make the
think.
path good.
Yeah, I
Had to
think
have some storylines.
I really genuinely think Brian Kelly wanted to see what he had in that first group that he put out there against Florida State, and if that went well, then that would have been the group going forward. But he didn't see what he wanted. Now you got changes.
Game of adjustments.
Game of
It's
changes
just,
and
I
adjustments.
don't like that.
I don't like it either.
It's game 1 against the best
Me
opponent
either.
you're going to
Me
see
either.
all year.
No, that's why I was. That's why I went nuclear.
I wanted to cry.
Like,
but it's
what have you been looking at all summer? Like, I mean, you've been telling us about Deshaun Womack. You've been telling us about Harold Perkins. You've been telling us about, like, and then you get to the performance and they don't play.
Right.
Well, then Mason Smith he's out.
He's
thought this was
what?
the big comeback.
Right.
And they pulled the rug out from under us again.
Where's Denver Harris? Well, we didn't bring him. What? You didn't bring him? What do you mean you didn't bring him?
Keon Coleman still
Well,
scoring.
he missed the team meal. Well, I tell you what, that's really helping him out now.
Florida State's eating.
Because you got 5'9" on 6'4", and it looks like the backyard out here. I mean, he was breaking the huddle, and he was Randy Moss. He was pointing to
I
him.
got-
He was like,
I
"This
got
is
a
LSU, man. They're treating you like Nichols out here." No disrespect to Nichols. I think Tulane and Nichols play this weekend. Another big one.
Another big one.
Super Bowl in the Bayou.
Caleb Jackson's
All right,
good.
Jacques will know all about that one. Jacques next every Wednesday here. Damn it, Noah. Why'd you get me fired up?
Yeah, well, that's great.
Daily, we're brought to you by Hughes Mechanical. Hughes Mechanical AC. Remember, they can fix your air condition today. Get in touch with them. Residential or commercial. HughesMechanical.net. Online is where you can find them. 225-658-2147. Daikin Pro dealer over there. They have the trusted warranty over at Hughes Mechanical. 225-658-2147. Tell Travis Hughes you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. They can help you out anywhere in South Louisiana. They're headquartered in Zachary, but they're great in the North Shore, great in New Orleans, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, all over the place. HughesMechanical.net. Online, HughesMechanical.net. Online, and 225-658-2147. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We're back with JD from WAFB when we come back, talking LSU, Arkansas, getting you ready for a hell of a slate in college football this weekend. We'll also ask Jacques his thoughts on the 2-0 Saints as they travel up to Green Bay this weekend. Come back with us. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. Where are we here? Hour one.
Where are we?
We're 80 likes. We need 20. We need 20 likes. So if you're watching and you have not liked, make sure and hit that thumbs up before 9 a.m. We appreciate you. We'll be back. More of the show right after this, built by R&B.
Hit that thumb.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
see us. Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's spell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Did we should have 2 new. All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always. It is built by our friends over at RMB Builders, rmb-builders.com. And remember our friends over at Signa Frames. You just saw the commercial run for it inside of the show here. But Signa Frames is doing great work, and they've got a great website that you can find about at signaframes.com. They're on social media as well, and we've been showing you some. If you show in between Austin and Noah over there, that's the Perkins jersey from Signa Frames. We're going to be doing a giveaway with Drew Brees and our friends over at Signa Frames. But you see the jerseys where they got the cards, the highlights and the pictures. If you have a jersey that you need framed, Signa Frames can help you out with that. If you have an old jersey, if you got one that you were looking to get framed, you don't have to go and just shop their products and shop what they're selling. You can call them and have them frame a jersey for you. You can get in touch with them just by logging online at signaframes.com, signaframes.com. Matt Sharp, who's a good friend and a listener of the show, said don't sleep on the Texas Baylor game on Saturday. So it will some other games out there as well to pay attention. It's just a fantastic college football weekend.
TV day.
Jacques Doucet of WAFB is a friend of the show, great friend of the show. Of course, you can find him on the 9 Sports Desk daily, who does great work over there with Steve Schneider and the crew. We'll be out at Tiger Stadium this Saturday. We will talk to him about the week and the build-up and the press conference and what's going on. Jacques, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Jordy. How are you guys?
Doing good. All right, so the performance for LSU last Saturday night, I think that's what we've said here on this show. That's what everybody was kind of anticipating who LSU was going to be going into the year. What did you take away from their beatdown of Mississippi State in Starkville?
Well, Jordy, for an SEC game, it's hard to dominate one more than LSU did last weekend, especially on the road. I think late in the first half, not only did LSU have a 24-0 lead, but they had outgained Mississippi State 294-7, 7 yards for Mississippi State on their first 5 offensive possessions. And so I think LSU established themselves right away. Look, Davis Wade Stadium is not Jordan-Hare Stadium at Auburn. It's not the Swamp in Gainesville, but still it's a pretty loud place. They had announced the sellout on Friday, although there were plenty of empty seats. But those fans came out excited. They wanted to see a good game. They did not see a good game. And the Boo Birds were out after Mississippi State's second punt of the game. Ooh. So I think you alluded to it on one of your shows earlier. I thought a key play in the game, and it showed Jaden Daniels' experience and his knowledge of the offense, was when he dropped back to throw, couldn't find anybody, rolled to his left, and knew that he had Logan Diggs all the way across the field, threw it back, and then that was a big first down. We talked to Logan about that last night during player interviews. But certainly from a statistical standpoint, one of the greatest performances in LSU history from a quarterback, going 30 out of 34 for 361. And I think his first incompletion of the game, he was pressured and it was a throwaway. So it wasn't even like it was an incompletion because he was inaccurate or couldn't get the ball to somebody. So, Malik Neighbors becoming, the next great one in line. And there's something to be said, I think, about guys in their third year, how they just kind of maybe hit a new level. They know the NFL's on the horizon. And whether it's Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas finally, Chris Hilton finally healthy and contributing. It was a tremendous performance all the way around, and then certainly on the defensive side of the ball, what we saw from Whit Weeks emerging to be the leading tackler in the game, Savion Jones beginning to really flash on the first possession. He got back there, made Will Rogers throw the ball away, and then on the second drive, he had a quarterback sack for a loss of 7. So I think the challenge for this team now, they've been told after they were told how awful they were against Florida State. Now they're being told how great they are. Can they get their feet back on the ground? And are they mature enough, to have another great performance against Arkansas? Because Vegas is telling us this is an 18-point spread, but if you've watched this series, the last 3 times it's gone down to the wire. Whether it was COVID in 2020, when I think Jay Ward had to block a field goal late in the game to preserve a victory. Coach O, to his credit, never lost to Arkansas until he was fired and was coaching out the string, and they beat him in Tiger Stadium in overtime, right? One of the ugliest games you'll ever see in 2021. And then last year, even without KJ Jefferson, LSU had too much euphoria to drink the week before. They were hungover after the Alabama game in the cold in Arkansas and barely got out of there. I think Jaden Daniels had 86 yards passing in the game, and the LSU offense was pretty bad all day. Thank God for obviously Harold Perkins in his day to get LSU out of there.
Yeah, for sure. LSU in a series that has haunted them is 7-3 in the last 10, which is you think about that. That is that's a high mark for this series because usually, this was one that LSU just couldn't wrestle for a while. JD, the defense.
Yeah, it's always been, sorry to interrupt you, but it's always been a quirky thing, right? Yeah. Arkansas has been Friday after Thanksgiving. They played that game on Friday, 1:30 CBS or around that time. And now it's, here we are in September.
JD, the defense last week made an enormous stride in the way they played. Did you see anything that really kind of like tipped that off, or one move that they may have made from a personnel standpoint that was to credit that, or what was it that had them playing as well as they did last weekend from your point of view?
I think it may be a combination of LSU just really playing well as a team and Mississippi State, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Mm-hmm. As frustrated as LSU fans have been about, hey, are we, taking our best player out of the game on defense with Harold Perkins? You got Will Rogers, who's thrown for 11,000 yards in his career, and I'm not sure if they're using him the best way that they can. He obviously does not look comfortable in what they're doing, and then once LSU shut down the rushing attack, their passing game was pretty putrid all day long. So it just looked like they were ready. I think they had been told a lot about this 11 a.m. kickoff and being sleepy and groggy and not ready to go. They tackled very well. They put pressure on the quarterback. I heard you talking about Denver Harris earlier, and if you don't say a guy's name in that position, chances are it's a good thing. And so, we really didn't hear much about LSU secondary in terms of anybody getting beat. I think the only really mistake they made in the first half was it was Zy Alexander, right? Had a chance to make the tackle on Woody Marks, and he missed it, and 52 yards for a touchdown. But, even in the second half, early in the second half, when State perhaps had, some hopes of getting back in the game, the LSU defense came out very sharp. And I think the linebackers are playing well. I think Greg Penn is a great leader there. And, I think Mason Smith, he's trying to come along and get back in there and become the guy that we're expecting. He's doing his best. Hopefully, maybe this third game is his breakout.
JD, from Logan Diggs' standpoint, you mentioned that you talked to him, and he's been a really breath of fresh air back there at running back and the way that he can help out. How do you see his role developing here as games go on?
Well, I think after he ran for almost 900 yards at Notre Dame and came to LSU, I think a lot of people perhaps predicted he would be the leading rusher on the team, and I think it's heading in that direction. And we talked about his ability to catch the football as well. He comes across as very intelligent, very smart. He was at Notre Dame to begin with and recruited by Coach Kelly up there. It's interesting how this running back thing has gone. Has Trey Bradford played since he caught that pass to start the year? Where he's unsolved mysteries. Where's Trey Bradford?
Right,
he's gone. So, but I like how they're supplementing Josh Williams in there. I think he. Mm-hmm. I know you guys were talking about seniority, but I like how, he can score you touchdowns along the goal line. I think that's a good thing. And Emory, I heard you talk about that a little bit. I think that was a bit of a 4-speed with Emory against Mississippi State. I think one thing they did, and I'm just a nerd, I remember these things, but I remember when LSU played Mississippi State in Tiger Stadium last year, the first play in the game, I think it was, Daniel snapped it and he threw it, that little side pass to Emory in the flat, and it gained like 10 yards. They did the exact same thing this time, and State was ready for it. I think it was a 3-yard loss this time around. But, Caleb Jackson is the bright, shiny toy, and certainly he gets everyone excited. And this is the second time I think Coach Kelly has tapped the brakes on Caleb Jackson. Certainly when LSU released that video from the scrimmage when he caught the short pass and went 80 yards, and then he ran another touchdown in Tiger Stadium. Everyone was glowing about it, and Coach Kelly's like, hey, he's still learning. He's young. And then after this, he's the highlight on SportsCenter. Everyone's talking about it. And yes, it certainly reminded me of Leonard Fournette trucking the Texas A&M defender in a College Station, and also, him destroying that guy against Ole Miss in 2016. But Coach Kelly continuing to say, look, he doesn't know the rules. He's still kind of learning the game and, in the pass pro blocking and stuff like that. So, but man, he's got something. Maybe we make it too simple as fans and say, hey, it's a running back, give him the ball and tell him to run. But that'll be interesting, Caleb Jackson's development. And by the end of the year, are they counting on him more than what they are right now?
What do you expect to see from the quarterback after that performance? That was so dominating. You haven't seen that since Burrow, and before that it feels like it's been since Hodson or Rohan. Since you've seen numbers and efficiency like that. Do you expect the ball to be pushed down the field more after what you saw on Saturday with the efficiency and the ease in which they did that?
Well, Jordy, you remember the season opener 2020 COVID when State came in with KJ Costello and threw for 1,000 yards, not quite, 618, whatever it was. After the game, Mike Leach said, LSU's defensive backs just kept coming up to the line and pressing us, and we just kept, throwing it deep. And it was kind of similar to what Coach Kelly said after this game. He said that they kept pressing us, coming up on us, and my question was why? Right. And they just kept going deep on him. And for LSU on a 4th and 6 to throw the ball into the end zone for a 33-yard touchdown, what an aggressive call, right? And so I guess it's a matter of what Arkansas's defense is trying to do. If they're playing off, maybe it's back to some of that hitch stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that if you're moving the ball and scoring touchdowns. But I think last year Jaden hit a spot in the season. I think the Florida game was a game in which, he finally started throwing the ball down the field. He hit Kayshon Boutte, I think, early in the game on a play. And then there was the play where Florida jumped off sides and he chunked it deep to Jeray Jenkins for a touchdown. And then he trusted Brian Thomas on another play where he threw it up in the end zone and let Brian Thomas go get it. And so maybe I think after that Florida game, people are expecting more of that moving forward. And although he played an amazing game against Ole Miss and was a consistent quarterback down the stretch, the deep throws weren't there. So I think that's the question LSU fans have. Will he take this game and continue to build on it? But right now, statistically, he's heading towards one of the greatest seasons in LSU history for a quarterback. And Malik Neighbors, obviously bringing back memories of Josh Reed and Rohan Davey with 13 catches for 239 in a single game.
Tied Reed's record with 10 receptions in the first half, going back to that Alabama Saturday in Tuscaloosa where Rohan and Josh just chopped up the Tide in 01. Jacques, one of the things that makes you great at your job is the fact that you are still the guy on the desk with so much experience who still goes out and does the media availability in the middle of the week. You do it every season. You do it for every sport. And with that, you have great relationships. Greg Brooks is a guy that was routinely put out to the media that would speak and represent LSU. He's a South Louisiana native. He got some news over the weekend that is just devastating from a medical standpoint, where he has a brain tumor that had medical emergency surgery, opened him up over the weekend, and now waiting on a biopsy result to find out the test of that tumor. When you heard that news, what was your reaction, and what do you imagine the effect will be on this team, knowing what Greg Brooks meant to the program?
Well, it just gives you great pause that it doesn't make sense that a guy that is so young and so healthy, something like this happens. And the one thing that you can hope We know that doctors are amazing people. They do things every day to save lives and to help us. And you can only hope that they removed what was bad and did not damage anything in terms, in this procedure in terms of his brain and moving forward. Obviously, there's nothing more serious than the brain and what it means to your health. And so, obviously he was thought upon as one of the team leaders. He was voted a team captain before the year. I think back to in August when he missed some practice time. And when he came back, he said he was dealing with vertigo and the room spinning and whatnot. And so, I don't want to put two and two together when I don't know anything, but you would have to think that these two things were connected. And you just hope that, he's healthy and he can proceed. The Grambling player that was had the bad injury, he was smiling yesterday, and they had a nice for his birthday. I think the Southern Jags went over there, brought him a birthday cake, and gave him some love. He's smiling, but he's in a wheelchair at the moment, and hopefully, he's walking and can return to 100%. But and then with Jimmy Lindsey, LSU's defensive line coach, dealing with his medical serious issue. We've had, that's just three off the top of my head that give you pause and, make you think to take nothing for granted. But Greg Brooks, certainly a team leader, a guy that everyone loves. And, I just, from a football sense, remember he saved that game against Auburn last year where he had the Tyrann Mathieu type play where they threw it across the middle and he ripped it away. I think it was Coy Moore, the former LSU Tiger, had the ball and to lock up the win for LSU. So, but that's just football talk. Obviously, he's a young man with his entire life in front of him, and we all pray and wish for a 100% recovery.
I mean, he was flying around on the field against Grambling.
That's what's so crazy about this entire thing.
He was moving out there. So, yeah, I'm with you, JD. And great words and great thoughts there from one of the best in TV, definitely here in Louisiana, somebody that has always been there and been around these players and guys know him and have relationships with him, and I know Greg is one of those guys, so continued on that.
Yeah, well, just some levity for you, Jordy. This is all I got to do. I don't have my wife's cousin asking me to go watch a football, go to some party this weekend or something.
A 10-year reunion.
So, Jacques, how do you handle like a Saturday like this, where it's a slate of college football that, look, you really don't want to get away from the TV from, but you got to go out to Tiger Stadium and you got a full day of game day. How do you kind of monitor that day, and how's your schedule work?
Well, me and DeQuano will meet up at the stadium at some point and make our way out to Tiger Stadium. But, last weekend, for example, I got no problem with an 11 a.m. road game, especially if it's a nice, pretty day, because it enables you to kind of get your work done somewhat early and then watch the games that night, or in this case, watch Alabama wobble around against South Florida. My goodness. I thought South Florida was a better program than what they were. And then they said they were 1-11 last year. I was like, what? So, but yeah, I mean, a weekend like this when LSU's playing a night game, there'll be a lot of, big games going on at the same time. Up in the Tiger Stadium press box, they got a few TVs up there where you can watch the other action. So, but yeah, this is one of those weekends that really you're looking forward to, because last weekend wasn't all that great, right? I mean, God bless Deion Sanders keeping people up to 2 a.m. watching Colorado football in Boulder and what he's doing there. But the SEC games weren't that great, and so this weekend is a tremendous slate, and starting to feel that cool fall weather outside. All the sports are great, but to me, nothing beats college football. There's never an NFL game for the most part where somebody wins and you're so totally shocked you can't believe something happened and it moves the needle. But in college football, we still have those things that happen. And just when you think, Florida sucks and they're terrible, then Tennessee goes in there and gets their teeth knocked out. And although we're talking about, Alabama struggling and this and that, my head over my heart tells me that by the time LSU gets there in November, it's going to be a different story and they will have figured some things out. And I don't think it's ever going to be an easy game for LSU against Alabama after all the torture we've gone through over the years. But be interesting to see how that plays out.
JD from WAFB is here every Wednesday. You can catch him on the desk on 9 Sports, and a great friend of our show. You'll see him here every week. Jacques, we'll see you in Tiger Stadium on Saturday. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jordy. Appreciate it.
Conversation with Jacques brought to you by Go Roof, online at GEAUXroof.com. Get in touch with the pros today if you want them to hop up on the roof, give you that free inspection with their over 15 years of professional experience. It's residential roofing, commercial roofing, roofing repairs, anything that you may be in the market with for your roof. You can call Go Roof today, and they'll help you out. 225-927-8300. 225-927-8300 is the phone number. That's a beautiful roof every single time, and you get in touch with the pros over at Go Roof. They're, as we said, it is commercial, residential, doesn't matter the roof that you need repaired, the roof that you need installed. Go Roof can help you out today. GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com. We remind you, you get that 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations. 225-927-8300 and online at GEAUXroof.com. They've got a ton of 5-star ratings. You will find out for yourself when you log online or when you get in touch with them just how easy it is to work with them. They'll work with the insurance company to take that headache away from you. Online, GEAUXroof.com. Go Roof, a beautiful roof every single time. More of the Jordy Culotta Show when we come back live here from Click Here Digital on this Wednesday. If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on.
Did you do it?
Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college, for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every single time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Belmont Stakes Race Training.
I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Kentucky Derby Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
The
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gordon.
Thanks. Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always. We are built by RMB Builders, live here on this Wednesday morning. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. As always, appreciate your interaction, your thoughts, and helping us out here. Trying to get to 200 likes an hour. Sitting at 150 right now with about 30 minutes left. Let's get there, man. If you have not liked the show and you're inside of the chat right now, we appreciate it. Don't forget, if you come back and watch us after we go off the air, if you watch it on demand, you can still hit that like button while you're watching, so we appreciate that as well. Austin Gayron, who is a part of our staff over here at Click Here Digital, has been helping us out with the show with some of the comments that have been coming in. Anything rolling in this morning of note?
Really, Lloyd Shirt caused a war.
A bit of a controversy.
You never know what's going to get them.
Exactly. We have that, and obviously a bunch of love coming in from Greg Brooks in the chat. That's the story that's going to dominate the day and the weekend.
Yep, and I wanted to mention one other guy too. I see him in the chat all the time, Matt Mose. He chimes in. I guess he works in the military. He said, "I have to walk down to the aircraft carrier CVN 74 to work. Be back in the chat for hour 2." I looked up what the CVN is. He's a nuclear carrier vessel.
Wow.
Makes me think of Oppenheimer. Matt, make sure that vessel's good.
Go find that jet.
And they said it was just people in their parents' basement that listen to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Nuclear scientists out there, man.
Yes.
We're everywhere.
I love it.
Even in Japan.
God knows where he is. Tell us the secrets.
We also were
Split the atom.
talking about, I was looking at something I wanted to bring up here.
Bryce Young not being under center.
That woman that got left on the cruise ship?
No, the Bryce Young under center thing. I mean, Bryce Young gives me third-hand anxiety watching him play on the NFL football
he looks
field.
like a middle schooler.
He looks like, and I mean, it is just, it's just not supposed to be like that. Like, I mean, when you're looking out there and you see the size difference between Bryce Young and his offensive linemen and some of his wide receivers in the huddle.
He's like,
I mean, he is literally looking up at how is he not going to get cracked in half?
I mean, every time they hit him, he fumbles.
And he doesn't have the thing, the okey doke moves that he could do where he, like what you saw against Texas, where he could break, contain, and kind of scramble around.
He still runs on an NFL field in the middle of that move he made the other night was still pretty good, but you're still like, dude, get down.
Slide. Like, I bet the OC is in his ear the whole time.
Like,
just slide.
If like Carl Granderson
was running
catches that guy from the backs, like, I mean, it is. I wonder, like, what would happen to Bryce Young if he's standing still,
right?
And he gets hit.
And he gets hit by
a flag.
No. I'm really like, I'm talking like medically. If he's just standing still and you give a clean, free shot to a guy like Grant, I mean, name me the defensive ends in the NFC South. I mean, just the NFC. Who's Atlanta's defensive end? I'm sure they got some killer. I mean, who's Tampa Bay's got some?
Think about Devin White on a free blitz in Tampa.
Devin White.
Oh,
think about Devin White hitting Bryce Young, and Bryce Young doesn't know it's coming, and he's standing still.
Yeah, for all awareness is so important as a quarterback, but for Bryce Young or a guy that's small, I mean, you have to know what's happening at all times.
Head on swivel.
Why does he look so small?
Because he's small.
He is small.
I'm telling you, at the at SEC Media Days last year, I told Jacques I couldn't get over it. I could not. Jacques was like finally like, all right, man, I get it. You know, like
he's little.
You think he's small, like, but I was like, Jacques, he's my size. Like, I mean, like, I'm eye to eye with the Heisman Trophy. Like that. Like that's Bryce Young.
Right.
He's like, I mean, that's. I'm like, I had no idea.
No way. You're lying.
And this is like Anthony Richardson's walking through there.
Oh, yeah.
KJ Jefferson's walking through there. I mean, like, you're
even
like
Jaden Daniels.
Holy cow! Like, look at these dudes, and then like, here comes Stetson Bennett and Bryce Young, and you're like,
the class of
how
the
the hell?
SEC.
I mean, like, I could have played college football.
The quarterbacks for the two best teams.
Yeah,
you got a 6th grade math teacher and a
back-to-back national champion and a Heisman winner.
Bigger than Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Stetson got the guy.
Yeah.
Got in that weight room,
Steady,
coach. He would,
Yeah, but I mean, it's still alarming.
but
At the size differential of
it didn't feel like that much of a topic of conversation in college
It didn't.
football.
It
And then you even looks-wise, when you watch him on a college football field, he looked slight, but it didn't look like, oh, he shouldn't be out there.
Right.
It just goes to show the difference of the cream of the crop when it's in the NFL.
I mean, look at him next to Miles Sanders.
yeah.
The running back makes him look small.
I mean, look at him behind the center, not even under center. He looks.
Well, I'm a little shook. Yeah.
But like Demario Davis looking across the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough feeling.
Coach, I need a break.
That's probably why he was lined up wrong. He saw Demario right across the field,
barking at him.
Send me in motion. But
can I go in motion real quick?
But yeah, like when he and like that play he tried to make against Harold Perkins, when he tries to get outside, he tried to do the same thing against Demario Davis, and it was even faster. Or he's like, I definitely can't get away from him, and so his game is going to have to evolve, I guess. But he's been doing it for so long. I would have taken him one, but it does look concerning on an NFL field.
Well, he's got the talent. It's it's in the NFL when you're behind a offensive line that isn't like Alabama's, where it's going to be better than whoever's across the field.
Like everybody's bad.
Right. It's going to be,
And credit
he's going to be in danger so much more.
He made plays in some of the biggest games he played in at Alabama.
Right.
I mean, like that Texas game last year, I thought he solidified himself as the number one pick in the draft because Alabama looked dead. They didn't have anybody that was going to make a play, and he stood up and made plays.
He put the team on his back.
I thought that he was
Gibbs.
pretty good in the national championship against Georgia. Like in a game that he was outmanned.
Right.
He was pretty good in that game.
And he was great in the SEC championship against Georgia when they beat him.
Fantastic against that in that game. So I mean, it's not like you don't have body of work where you can look at and say, look, he's done it.
Right.
Like he's done it against the best teams and against the best dudes. It just the NFL to me. I'm telling you, the NFL. The first time I ever stood on a sideline in an NFL game. I mean, it's just a different, it's a different sound, it's a different speed, it's a different collision that you don't really realize until you see it up close. I think we take football for granted sometimes on how physical and just, ferocious it is because you're watching through your TV or you're watching in the stands and you're not really looking in. If you're 10, 15 yards away from it, and you feel the ground shake when they're running and you hear the collision, it literally is. It's a car wreck every 30 seconds. I mean, it is just some of the even in the style that they've tried to protect the game. I mean, with the new rules, there's still elements and parts of football that you cannot
govern
from. You can't outrule. You can't. In fact, I was talking last night. We were on the field over at Our Lady of Mercy last night, and some of this, we're kind of going through as parents. University High School, junior high, their 7th and 8th grade, they split up the 7th and 8th grade team. There is a 7th and 8th grade team. Like they play tonight. The 7th and 8th graders play Zachary Elite out at Zachary High School tonight. But then they'll also just take the 7th graders and they'll go play 7th and 8th grade teams. I don't know the theory or the thought behind it. Through the first month of it, look, I don't want to be, but it does make a lot of sense because you show up and the line of scrimmage is just
right.
It's non-competitive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And over the last 2 games, University's lost their 3 best players.
Yeah.
The guys that are handling the ball the most are getting out. And I was talking to Scott Dietrich, who's the athletic director at Parkview, the former offensive coordinator. Their middle school was playing after we played last night. So he was there. I ran into him. We ended up having good conversation. And he has a guy by the name of Scott Kirby who runs his 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th division of football. And Kirby, he's full pad, full practice, Saturday morning, 8 a.m. You get out 8:10, you're lined up like in an Oklahoma drill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're hitting. And it's kind of to say, like, look, there's parts of football, if you're scared of contact, if you don't want contact, you're not going to be able to avoid it. At some point on a football field, you are going to get caught. It doesn't matter if you're a kicker, a quarterback, or a tackle. You're not going to be looking. And look, they're trying to take these crackback, blindside hits.
They're out. They're
can't duck smoke, coach.
But it's still out there, and sometimes still you can't even help it.
Yeah.
Right? Where you just may turn into it. And there's still that element of football that you can write as many rules as you want. And even for the quarterback in the NFL, you can write as many rules as you want. But if he throws a pick, if he hangs on to it 1 second too long, or if you've just got some dude who says, I'll pay the fine.
Yeah.
He's going to catch. I mean, Drew Brees, I thought, was going to get out of football with being almost like this guy that could play 20 years and not get hurt until the San Francisco 49ers defensive end crunched on top of him and broke 7 of his ribs. It's just, you're going to get it.
It's going to happen.
You know what I mean?
It's inevitable.
It's not if, it's when.
I mean, it happened to Jared Goff over the weekend where he does a...
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, he does he actually hands it off, but he does such a good job, I guess, of looking like he's...
The play action.
He doesn't have the ball. The defensive end absolutely thinks he does.
That's right.
And
full head of steam.
Of steam, crushes him, celebrates like he got a sack, and you see 2 flags come out.
That's right.
But that happens to Bryce Young.
Maurice Ford, remember the Reggie Bush hit? I never thought Reggie Bush would get caught.
Yeah.
Really? Alvin Kamara.
Right.
The same way. I want to say it was Jalen Smith. The Cowboys linebacker, his rookie year, cracked Alvin Kamara. Cracked him. I mean, he played the rest of that game with a concussion. There's no doubt in my mind. He didn't know where he was. But Kamara just is that dude. He wasn't coming out of the game, and he played the rest of the game. I mean, the Reggie Bush hit his rookie year versus Philadelphia.
Sheldon Brown.
He killed that guy.
Jeez.
I mean, that was...
He said it was like running through paper mache.
Yeah.
Like he said, I didn't even feel Reggie. I don't know if Reggie was the same after that, really.
Probably not.
He got a little bit of it back, but that will
humble. That's what I'm saying. He's I can't. It's in my playground anymore.
Yeah, right.
I thought I was about to do everybody up on this football field.
Stuff doesn't work like it did in the Pac-12 out here.
You thought I was about to catch it.
I'm about to score.
I've done this 1,000 times.
Yeah. Faces in the dirt.
Oh, if Drew Brees left him out to dry.
I mean, there is a picture of him where his body
he's folded.
Is and his legs are 2.5 feet off the ground.
I mean, he's touching his toes.
I mean,
over somebody.
It's just wild, man. I mean, in the NFL, the closest I've ever seen to it was the 2012 Alabama LSU game. Yeah. Stood on the sidelines for it, and I'll never forget. It was Sam Montgomery, Benny Logan, and that crew tracking a sweep route to Eddie Lacy as Chance Womack, and those guys are pulling, and it looked like the NFC South. Right. I mean, it was, the ground was shaking. Yeah. The ground was rumbling underneath your feet.
Rhinos running their heads into each other.
Yes, I mean, it's bulls coming at you, brother.
Because you can't take out a pulling guard, or you can't take a linebacker stepping in.
Not one that's running 4.9.
Or a fullback filling the hole is what I'm saying. Those collisions are still going to happen. That is football. They're never going to take those out. So yeah, I mean, everybody's going to get got, but. I'm telling you, that's dangerous.
If he gets got.
I mean, you saw what happened with Tua last year.
Exactly.
Right.
It's exactly right. I mean, it's exactly right. I mean, it's undersized. Is that Andy? All right, when we come back, we will talk to Andy Staples of On 3 and get a look at the weekend ahead. A great college football weekend ahead of us. We'll talk to Andy Staples about it coming up next year on the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by R&B Builders. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg.
All right, welcome back here to Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here on the campus of Click Here Digital, as we come to you every single day, Monday through Friday. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. If you're looking for a good listen to college football and content that is always there for you, got to check out the Andy Staples podcast, which is up at On3. You can check it out wherever you get your podcasts from. I listen to it on Spotify, but it's on Apple, it's on Google, it's everywhere. And it's great for Saturday night listening, Sunday listening. It's a great podcast, man. It is something from a college football standpoint. If you're looking for up-to-date information and information that you can get pretty routinely, and it's always there. I know that's one of the big gripes about podcasts is people want their updated content, and they want it when they want it.
I want it now.
Staples has usually got it there for you, so check it out. His podcast is fantastic. He's also on YouTube as well. If you want to check out the On3 YouTube page while you're here. Andy, thanks for coming back with us. Good morning. How are you?
What's up, Jordy?
Good to talk to you, man. This is a huge weekend of college football, and before we get to the Week 4 slate, real quick about Week 3. It looks like from LSU's standpoint that they took the next step, and I want to knock out the LSU talk with you before we jump into the national scene. What did you learn about LSU last weekend against Mississippi State? Because here in South Louisiana, people are thinking that was maybe the LSU team that they were expecting going into the season. Can they sustain that?
Do they get to play Mississippi State secondary every week?
That's right.
Because that might have something to do with it. I was at the Florida State game, and look, if you look at the way LSU played offensively in the first half of the Florida State game, yeah, they can do this against just about anybody. So it's just a matter of being sustainable. I thought Jaden Daniels looked great. When they attack vertically, they're really tough to cover. Mm-hmm. There are not a lot of teams in the country that can cover them. So I think when they play the tougher opponents, they just have to be able to stay consistent. And I think now it seems like they've also kind of got the back rotation figured out. And that was the problem it felt like in the Florida State game was most of LSU's rushing game was Jaden Daniels scrambling. And it's got to be more than that. And I think you've seen the past 2 weeks, they've kind of gotten that figured out.
Take me to Gainesville last Saturday. How big of a moment was that for Billy Napier, and what does that do for the program moving forward, that win over Tennessee? And not only the win, Andy, I thought the environment was that felt very retro Swamp on Saturday, or at least it did through the TV.
Yeah, it definitely felt like old times. It was very loud, and for Billy Napier, it's huge because it wasn't just that they won; it's that they won in the way he said his teams would play when everything was working the way it's supposed to work. And nobody'd seen that yet. He'd been there a season plus, and nobody'd really seen what that was supposed to look like. So to see it work that way was pretty impressive, where they controlled both lines of scrimmage. They built the lead, didn't do anything crazy or risky. They jumped on Tennessee, and then they took it out and just salted the game away. That's what he wants to do. That's the type of style he wants to play. And so I think it was really big for him because he needed that proof of concept. I think people were getting pretty nervous about it. And, you guys understand as well as anybody in the SEC, though, if they go to Kentucky and lose, it's right back to where it was. So they've got to keep building on that.
Right. Andy, when you look at this weekend ahead, and there are games at every time slot, 11, 2:30, 6, 6:30, 8, I mean, what game grabs your attention the most?
Oh, Alabama Ole Miss. I mean, Lane Kiffin trolling Saban by saying he thinks T-Rob's calling the defense. It's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. And, Alabama, they announced Milroe as a starting quarterback. When have you ever seen Nick Saban announce a quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't announce a quarterback. He starts a guy and is like, that's the guy. And so that was really interesting. None of this Alabama season feels normal. Mm-hmm. And so now you go against Ole Miss. You have Pete Golding coming in there as the defensive coordinator for Ole Miss. He got run out of Alabama. Fans thought he was the problem. And now he has a chance to light up a quarterback that doesn't sound like they're particularly sure of. So I just think that game has the potential for tons of intrigue and subplots and you name it.
A little game of what if. What if they lose on Saturday, speaking of Alabama, and they've got 2 home losses in the month of September? What happens to the college football conversation if that goes down?
Well, I mean, obviously this Nick Saban guy, I just don't think he's going to make it. Maybe he's never going to win the big one.
I got off the job.
I don't know. I think it would be. I mean, it would be apocalypse in Alabama if they lost this game. It would just be think about the Feinbaum callers.
Oh my God.
I mean, it would be tremendous content, but it would be existential crisis in Alabama because they've never been mediocre even under Saban.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've not had a bad year. The worst years they've had, they've lost 3 games. So I just can't even imagine where it goes if they feel like they're going to be just average, because that's simply unacceptable to the folks there. And they've been so spoiled with so much success that I don't know if they'll know how to handle that.
Andy, as a whole, what have you made of the league being average? When you look at the non-conference games, the SEC has struggled everywhere, whether it's Arkansas versus BYU, LSU versus Florida State, South Carolina versus North Carolina, Texas versus Alabama, Utah versus Florida. What have you made of the discrepancy? Texas A&M, Miami?
Yeah, it's a little bit down this year. And I also think the transfer portal and the COVID year still has something to do with this too, because teams that typically have guys that go pro in 3 or 4 years, all of that stayed the same. But then everybody else has these 5th and 6th year guys. And that makes a big difference. Grown men playing against 18, 19-year-olds makes a big difference. So I do think across college football, this is not just an SEC thing. I think across college football, you see the talent levels. Well, talent level is probably the wrong word for it. Ability levels are more even because the teams that would normally be less talented are older. So that kind of negates a little bit of that talent advantage.
How about on Saturday morning, Florida State, Clemson? Weird time slot for a huge game in the ACC, but how big of a spot is this for both programs?
Huge. Because for Florida State, you're right there. I mean, you guys saw them in Orlando. You saw how good they could be. This is their chance to deliver step on Clemson's throat and go over the ACC, just take it back. And they need to do that. Don't go in there and let Clemson rise from the dead, because the last we really saw at Clemson, because they've played Charleston Southern and FAU since, they were getting housed by Duke. And, based on what we saw in that game, and I talked to some of the people who were there, and they said that the talent level at Clemson does not look like what you would expect Clemson to look like. They still have some NFL defensive linemen. They've got a few guys in spots, but it's not wall-to-wall NFL dudes like it used to be. And Florida State has some really special players, as you guys know. Jared Verse, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman. They should be able to go in there and beat Clemson pretty comfortably. So we'll see what happens.
Coach Prime in Colorado pulled 9 million viewers into Colorado State, Colorado last Saturday night, and been really the story of college football through the first 3 weeks. What do you make of this storyline, and what about the spot that Colorado is in on Saturday traveling into Eugene?
Well, I couldn't believe the number because it's in the middle of the night. It's a Colorado State game. Like I understand everybody tuning in for game day and The Rock and Lil Wayne and all that stuff, but I figured people might look at the game for a minute, but then just sort of go to sleep. But the game was close. It ends up going to overtime, and everybody hung in. And like Vivica A. Fox is tweeting about this game afterward. Like he's bringing so many non-college football people into the tent that it's good for the sport, one, but it's pretty amazing. And you'll see everybody trying to say, well, who's the next Deion? There's no next Deion.
Right.
He's it. And now we see how good of a coach he is, because I think he's done a really good job so far. I think with the talent level they have, they're very talented in certain spots, but on both lines of scrimmage, they're not. And I think they've done a good job of covering that up for the last 3 weeks. Against Oregon, they're really going to have to scheme to stay in this game because Oregon is better than them on both lines of scrimmage. And, you noticed when Deion got asked about what Dan Lanning said yesterday, Deion wasn't like he made it personal. Deion was like, nope, I respect the man. Love what he's doing there.
That's right. Man knows how to evaluate a roster. Andy, last one. I'll get you out of here. Thank you for your time on this Wednesday. Obviously, Ohio State and Notre Dame are going to pull a lot of eyeballs on Saturday night. What do you make of that matchup going into it?
I can't wait. I'm going to be there. I'm so excited. It's the first time Notre Dame's had the quarterback that you think can take them to another level. Sam Hartman has really made that offense more explosive. They've always been able to run the ball. They've had good offensive lines the last 6-7 years and been pretty effective on the ground, but they haven't had a quarterback that really allowed them to stretch the field. Now they do. And then the big question for Ohio State is this defense different than it was last year? They say it is. They say they have clamped down. They're not going to be giving up as many big plays as they did the last couple of years. And if that's the truth, like if Ohio State goes in there and shuts Sam Hartman and that offense down, Ohio State can win the national title. If they can't, then it's probably the same season they've had because Notre Dame is basically the same thing as Michigan.
6:30 Saturday night in South Bend, Ohio State traveling to take on the Irish. Andy Staples will be there. The podcast following will be stellar. It always is. Love the pod, bro. Keep up the great work with what you got going on 3. Thanks for being available for us this morning. It's great to hear from you.
Thank you, Jordy.
All right, man. There he is, Andy Staples checking in. Make sure and follow him on Twitter at Andy_Staples to keep up with what he's got going on 3. A great national voice as far as college football goes with a real intent. He played at Florida. He played in the SEC. He knows the league. He's got great relationships, and the guy does and puts out really cool content. So appreciate him for stopping by here on this Wednesday morning. That gets us to the finish line here at 9 a.m. with 198 likes. Good work out there. Push us over the goal line here as we're at the 199. Do I hear one more? Can I get one more? Can I get one more?
Well,
one more like.
We were at 200, and then now they're playing games with us.
I see.
They're trying to keep the show going on all the way until we get 200. I respect the hustle.
I like it. I like it. There it is.
Hustlers.
200.
201
for good measure. Have a great day. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning as we will be here 7 a.m. for you on a Thursday. Chris Blair, the voice, will be here. Maybe Shady. Maybe.
If not Thursday, then maybe Friday. If not Friday,
if
maybe
not
Tuesday.
Thursday, definitely a Friday. We will talk to him. Good show. Appreciate Andy Staples. Thanks for JD for stopping by here. We will talk to Chris Blair tomorrow morning at 8:15 this morning, just like we do every week. I'm off to finish LSU Gold and headed over to Click Here Digital. Remember, over at Click Here Digital, if you are looking for a full-service digital marketing plan then you found the right spot. You can email me, Jordy at clickheredigital.com. Whether it's social media, display video, SEO, we can help you out today. Clickheredigital.com. Online is where you can find us, or you can email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com. Have a great Wednesday. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing Nick. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah, Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live.